And finally, the last dossier piece is like a dossier in French. I always say to them, well, what's a dossier? We do them all the time in the classroom. They know that it's basically just a portfolio in its essence. And it's just their ability to choose 2 pieces of work per year or per semester is how I do it, just because of the space that we have. That really, something that they're proud of, that they really think reflects where they are at that moment in their language learning. And it's especially fun for them to go back after 2 more semesters of study, to go back and look and say, oh, I thought I was pretty good in French too, but ooh, wow, now I can see what I was doing wrong. And it's so funny because they always ask me in retrospect, well, why didn't you correct us? When we were saying that incorrectly, why didn't you correct us? And so I get to have that talk with them about the growth through proficiency. A, I'm so glad that you can see that mistake and what that you wrote there. And B, aren't you proud of yourself? And C, do you understand why it really wouldn't have been appropriate for me at that time to address all of those things? Don't you think that you would have shut down? It's all 3 of those things together: where it is that you've been, who it is, who you are as a person, and what evidence or what artifacts do you have to document where you've been. Really paints a pretty vivid picture, I think, of the language learning process, the language learning journey. And Linguafolio just gives them the opportunity to document it and have proof of all of the hard work that they're putting into it.
Some of the kids, like with their speaking activities, we can actually record them and put them in there on a CD or on a cassette, or even do like an MP3 thing for them, so that can go in there. Their pieces for the theater, we could do videotaping of it, and so they can go back and look at what they've done. It's going to be great that eventually Linguafolio is going to be online, so that they can actually just save that file, save that clip, and stick it in their Linguafolio. Sometimes I decide, but then sometimes if they had a writing sample back and they're like, well, I really like this, Miss Swanson, I'd really like to stick this in, I'm like, that would be great. So then they go back to their folder and they put in their own work. Sometimes it's even a quiz or a test, just because they're so excited about it.
The part of Linguafolio that's really important to me is that it's all about ownership of your learning. And I tried to just put myself in the background as a very moderate facilitator and let the kids, they knew what they needed to do by the time we got ready to put the dossier together. And so they would take their things and talk it over within their groups. And what I did basically was walk around and say, well, look at this. Does this show that you can do this? Or here, look, here's a really good place where it shows that you can indeed make a complex sentence. You can write with a capital and a period consistently. So I just did that on an individual basis as the kids were working through that in group situations. And I think if I had done more than that, I feel like I would have taken away the process of getting them to own the process. Sounds a little redundant, but you know what I mean. Getting them to own how they were going to organize their Linguafolio. It would have just negated the intent of it if I had been too overbearing with that. I didn't always agree with what they chose, but I just let them, they were really conscientious about looking at their stuff, but they were real conscientious about looking at their partner's stuff. So there were plenty of people around to help them hone that skill. And I didn't expect them to be perfect with that. I think none of us is perfect with figuring out what am I doing here that shows that I can say that I can do it. We're always saying this or that or the other, but how much of us can support what we are saying we can do with evidence? That's a mature skill. But I feel like Linguafolio is the best effort I have seen at helping learners to structure what they're going to be learning and how they're going to apply it.